You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
What a beautiful day for horses in the morning.
You are listening to the #1 horse podcast in the world. Here is your entertaining look at the horse world and the people in it.
Well, I'm Glenn the Geek from Ocala, Florida.
And I'm Karen Chatton from Gardnerville, Nevada, and you are listening to Horses in the Morning on the Horse Radio Network for August 11th, episode 4016. Good morning, Horse World.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this endurance episode. We are here the second Tuesday of every month, and oh my God, there's a lot going on in the endurance world right now. This is like the busiest month. And of course, we're gonna do some Tevis results. We have a guest that's going to take us kind of behind the scenes on how they do the coverage of Tevis, something we haven't never talked about. But you got a lot going on in your area between fires and also your rides. But first of all, what we have to talk about first is the Mongol Derby is also going on right this moment. I talked about it yesterday on the show and gave you kind of an update. And now I'll give you a late on day 6 update. So if you remember right, I said yesterday that Ragna Rowe was leading with Lindsay Woods. They were the two leaders going into day 6. Well, Lindsay Woods fell ill on the slope. She activated her SOS and was treated for heat stroke. I know that's something we're going to talk about as far as Tevis is concerned, but it's also been a big problem over at the Mongol Derby. It's been hot. There was an afternoon or two they actually stopped the riders and made them just find shade.
Wow.
And then they went later into the evening. But so she's officially retired. She was the one from the United States, officially retired from the race, and she'll head to the finish camp and hang out there. There was a slew of penalties on this day and a mandatory 2-hour race hold for the 5 front riders in the group that was chasing the 2 leaders. And the co-leader, Ragna, who was from South Africa, was hit with a massive 3-hour technical penalty in the morning. And this happens when they do when they come in to change horses, and they do the same vet stops that you guys do pretty much. The horses have to come down at a certain rate and all of that. And she didn't. So she ended up with a 3-hour penalty, which put her behind. So she is no longer leading the race. And, we'll find out as the next day goes. There's like 5 or 6 of them up front there. And leading right now is Laura van Laar out of the Netherlands. She took that opportunity and took off. And she had her own late penalty, but she still got out ahead of everybody else. And she is now at horse station 22. And she's out front. They do a total of 28 horse stations and have about 240 kilometers left to ride.
Wow.
This is the point, Karen, where they all start to smell really bad. But there was one story. There's always funny stories that happen during the day. There was one story, a rider fell off and her horse took off. Well, there was another rider right behind, and he was kind enough to chase the horse down. So he chased her horse down. Otherwise, you have a long way to walk.
Oh my gosh.
That happened to Leslie Wiley, the one year she fell off and her horse took off with her tack.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so she ended up having to get back to the horse station, had no tack, and had to borrow tack to do the next leg. So Some of the horses have been good. It's usual. It's the usual Mongol Derby, right? Except it's really hot. So anyway, there was something else that was going on over the last several months that the Horse Radio Network participates in, and that's the virtual Tevis. And that's where if you're not riding in Tevis, you can do a virtual Tevis at home. Everybody kind of knows how those work now. We won last year, right? We were the leading.
We were the leading team this year. We were third. What's been reported so far puts us into third place with 740. Oh, wait. No, that's the hours. So our team rode 741 hours in their virtual Tevis for 2,574 miles. And we placed third. And just want to thank Richard Alvey for putting this all together. And
yeah, he's been doing that since we started it, actually. Yeah.
Yes, encouraging everybody and getting everybody motivated to go do this. It's been a kind of a fundraiser for the Western States Trail. I think they probably make more money off of the virtual Tevis than the actual Tevis.
Well, they don't have to pay for volunteers and paid help. And we have to acknowledge who beat us. So the Ohio Horsemen's Council. Now, keep in mind, we had 741 hours, and we won last year. They had 1,600 hours. What the heck's going on in Ohio? Jeez.
I know. Uh-huh.
Congratulations to them. I think that might be the same group that was Stacy Westfall before, and we were always competing with her for 1 and 2 spot. I think so. I'm not sure, but I think that's what it was because she was at Ohio. And then the Mustang Miles for Namar. Do you know them? That one at all?
No, I don't.
I don't either. So anyway, they came in second at this point. I think there's probably some calculations need to be done yet. But judging by the distance between these 3 groups, that's probably how it's going to shake out.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you to everybody who rode for Horse Radio Network. Good job, everybody. Well done. I'm assuming you obviously were trying to put in 100 miles. I assume you put in about 4,000 and
I think it was 300 or so I did, but
who's counting?
Yeah. I still have more I could enter if I needed to, but yeah,
So you did the Tahoe Rim 50. I saw you posting about that. Tell us about that ride.
I did. It's a gorgeous ride. A lot of the riders, you will hear them after the ride. Tahoe. It's right up at the top.
Okay.
And everybody will be telling you it's their favorite ride that they've ever done. It's just beautiful. You're literally riding up on top of the Tahoe Rim Trail, which is also parts of the Pacific Crest Trail in sections.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
But you're just right up there on the rim, literally looking over Lake Tahoe on one side, and then on the other side you can see Washoe Lake. So it's almost like a dream, like it's not even real, but it's so beautiful. And we were so lucky this year with good weather. I mean, it was hot and it's a tough ride. You
said it's a really tough ride, actually.
It is a really, really tough ride.
Rocky,
very
hilly,
tough.
just all of the above.
Yes, you're boulder hopping over granite. In fact, there was one rider I was riding with and her horse tripped and went down with her. Ooh. She came off and fell back and hit the back of her head on a rock. So luckily she had a good helmet on, and then her horse rolled over the top of her leg.
Ooh.
So she got back on and finished
Nothing broken?
the ride. No.
Wow, she's one lucky girl.
She was really lucky.
And
yes.
The horse was fine?
And the horse was fine and finished. And, it was a tough ride. And then
why is it horses can do that and they're fine, and my pony can trip in the field and be lame forever? Why is that?
I know they do all sorts of dumb stuff at home. Yeah,
Yeah, and here's one that fell down on the rocks.
Exactly. I mean, it totally and she said the horse is a trippy horse. He literally trips all the time.
Not a good one for endurance.
And that's just not for that ride, especially not that one was just nuts. And so I made me really appreciate Jovi because he's so agile. He goes like a deer right through everything without tripping. And so knocking on wood. Thank you for that, Joe. So we ended up top 10ing and didn't mean to, but we ended up basically galloping into the finish, which normally I don't do, but we just sort of were having such a good time and the horses were all strong and it was kind of a blast. So you had a
race to the finish?
Great ride. We did, and I ended up 10th, so I got in the top 10. Thank you. And then Jeremy Reynolds, he is such an athlete, that guy. He finished second and got best condition at Tahoe Rim. And then the next week, he took his horse Treasure, which we've spoken with him before on the show when he rode Tevis without a bridle on her, and he went and won Tevis the next week. So...
He's kind of the goat of endurance riding in the United States right now.
Pretty much, yes.
So, I mean, when you take a look at the Fire app on your phone, it looks like the whole entire western half of the United States is just on fire. And I saw some of the images coming out of your fire. What's it called? The bug fire.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know, why do they call it the bug fire?
It started at the bug station, the inspection, the agricultural bug station. when you go from Nevada into California, that's the ag station, but we all call it the bug station. So I guess that must be why they called it the bug fire, because that's where it started. It was human caused. And then there's been like 3 other fires that also started all east of that one. And while that fire
been super
moved
dry
east,
there near Reno?
Dry and hot, triple digits. Yeah. It's been just awful. And so all these fires have now kind of merged together. So now they're calling this a complex fire, which is, I guess, what happens when the fires merge. So between the fires now, as of this morning, they're over 44,000 acres.
And I saw the videos of overlooking Reno, and the fires up on the hill. It looked like Armageddon. I mean, it definitely does. It's just terrible. You know, the news hasn't really reported too much yet on what's been lost, but we know there have been homes and properties that were lost. I have seen some horse farms come across my Facebook feed that have been lost. Yes, and lots of livestock's been evacuated, and it's still, they've expanded evacuation warnings this morning. So the fire is still an ongoing threat. They're evacuating almost all the way to Fernley now. Is it heading toward the city still? Yes, it's definitely heading through a bunch of populated areas, and that's the hard part about all of this. Now, the good news is, though, you have some rain and the bad news. Good and bad news is you got some rain coming in. Exactly. So in the middle of all the fires and watching all this stuff going on, I did have a couple fires that were real close to me that they fortunately were able to get out. But now they're telling us where the sandbag locations are, because they're expecting heavy rains and flooding. We can't win this year with anything. It's just crazy, you know, because, you know, once you've had fires in an area like we have, now when we do get heavy rains, the flooding is worse because it's washing down all the ash from the fire, and there's no more vegetation to hold things in place. So last year we had flooding that flooded like 50 homes in my neighborhood. It was just devastating because it happened so fast. People couldn't even get home in time to rescue their animals. And so it's, from one extreme to the next, you know, it's just. I assume you won't be doing much riding tough. For the next couple of days. You'll be hunkered down. Probably not. Well, it's just been so hot anyway. It's triple digits. So, all right. Well, let's continue on here. So the other announcement is the World Championships, 2026 Endurance World Championships have been moved. That was moved because of the war. And now it's being held in Abu Dhabi. It was supposed to be in Saudi Arabia, but Saudi Arabia's in the middle of getting, in the middle of all of this right now. So they're moving it to Abu Dhabi, who I guess the United Arab Emirates is not getting shelled at the moment. So that's where they move it to. And that's in December, right? Right. The 14th through the 20th, and the championship rides on December 19th. Okay. We'll cover more about that when we get closer to it. In the meantime, we also had Tevis. So give us, you're always great at doing the stats about Tevis. So tell us what we need to know. Okay. Well, we do have a new ride director taking over. Matt Scribner is going to be the new ride director, and Chuck Stolley retired after this year. He did an excellent job for a number of years. So thank you for that, for the whole Stolley family. The numbers this year, there were 102 starters, 51 finished, which made that a 50% completion rate, which the average is about 53%. So normal. The winner. And considering the heat, that's pretty good, actually. It was hot, yes. And because they also have had some fires on the trail, there are sections now that are exposed to the hot sun that used to have some shade. So, that also makes it kind of tough. The winner, again, was Jeremy Reynolds. Last year, he came in with his wife, Heather. She was the winner last year, but he, basically they both finished first. So he rode Treasure again at the winning time of 15 hours and 37 minutes. The Hagen Cup winner
which is the Best Condition Award, went to junior rider Tyranny Bellowberg, riding CH Fancy Finesse.
Oh, that's cool. Junior
And
got it.
that's the second time they've given the Hagen Cup to a junior rider, and Tyranny was in 10th place.
Wow.
So congratulations to both of them. We also had some other highlights. 1,000-mile buckles, which means you've completed the Tevis 10 times. Jeremy Reynolds, Christine Hartman, and Karen Donnelly. So congratulations to them. Hal Hall completed his 34th Tevis.
How old is he now?
I just remember going back, I don't know how many, 10 years ago, him coming in and saying, I'm never doing this again. And there he still is,
There he
34. 34 times.
We need to get him on the show.
For sure. I know. Arabians dominated again. 9 out of the top 10 finishing horses were purebred Arabians. The 10th was a half Arabian, and 6 out of the top 10 were former track race horses.
You know, I forget about Arabian racing. That's something you just never think about.
Yeah. Yeah. The oldest horse was 24 years old, and the youngest rider was 12 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, and as you said, it was like 100 degrees out there. It was tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
and a lot of elevation. This is a tough ride. They're riding all the way from Lake Tahoe to Auburn, California.
Well, congratulations to everybody who competed and made it home. You know, if we do Tevis and there's nobody being flown out, that's a good thing.
The horse was okay. It was a successful rescue. They airlifted the horse out because it got separated from the rider, was off leading it when it got away from her. Okay. So nobody got hurt. The horse was airlifted successfully. And so it was a happy ending there. But you know, and that's what those people train for. Right. So, you know, they had a successful
all day, so.
Yes. So luckily there was nothing else to report as far as anything negative goes. Okay. So that was a good successful ride.
Yay. Yeah. Well, this episode is brought to you by Farnham and Endure Gold Killer Fly and Mosquito Control, a new fly spray for horses. We use this and it really does work. Discover fly protection redefined with Endure Gold, made to annihilate flies, ticks, and mosquitoes with the brand new EPA-approved ingredients never seen before in equine care. Endure Gold is backed by science and built for hard work, delivering fast knockdown and amazing fly protection. Add Endure Gold to your arsenal and upgrade your fly control rotation. You can find this at most of the online stores or most of the tack shops have it now. It's called Endure Gold Killer Fly and Mosquito Control. Our fly, I don't know about yours, but our flies have been really bad this year, and it really does work, you know, better than almost anything else we've tried here in Florida anyway. So check that out today. All right, we're going to go to Kristen at Distance Depot.
Good morning, Kristen. Welcome back. We're going to talk about sheepskin seat covers today.
Yes. We have the Sheer Comfort brand, and we make these in-house at our store in Peculiar, Missouri. And they are luxurious, nice and thick, and we have different styles. So we have a full Western, which some of your listeners may know as the Lady Godiva. It goes not necessarily on a Western saddle, but on many of our endurance saddles. So it's a full cover, covers your seat area, of course, and then all the way down your leg. And there are Velcro closures on most of these covers, especially this one. It wraps around a fender. I actually used it on my endurance cutback, my Orthoflex saddle. It had an English skirt, but I wasn't concerned about covering my whole skirt, just my leg area. And that Blevins buckle always gave me shin splints. So once I put this, even with half chaps. So I got rid of my half chaps and I was able to use this full Western cover, anchor it down to the stirrup top bar, and it never moves. Super warm in the winter and cool in the summer, which is nice. So it keeps you cool even on the hot days. We have 4 different colors. We have black, brown, a natural color, which is kind of a camel color, and also navy blue. So lots of colors to choose from. And then different styles. We have them for the full English saddles as well. These are made more for a dressage type saddle or an all-purpose saddle that have the rounded cantle. They have a little pocket on the back of them. If you click on our pictures on this website, we show you the underside of them so that you can see sort of how they attach to your saddle with elastic and strings and so on. But each cover, also, if you click on the picture of the cover you're interested in, we list all of the sizing for you to compare to your saddle. We get a lot of questions. I have such and such a saddle. Which cover do I need? Well, that's kind of a loaded question. So we do, as I say, list all the sizing for you, the seat length, the flap length and width, so that you can compare it to your saddle and your needs. If you have questions, of course, ask us, but because we do have a lot of covers.
And what are you recommended for caring for these sheepskin covers?
For these, well, most of the time you don't have to wash them. So people are always concerned, how do I wash mine? And you can wash it in the machine. We do recommend gentle cycle and then with some sort of leather cleaner, because there is a leather hide on the back of these. They came from actual sheep. So the hide is attached. Our brand actually has, it's kind of like a cotton-like material on top of that leather, so that the fellow that distributes these to us makes high-end covers for high-end automobiles. So he has that cotton-like backing on these so as not to scratch the cars and motorcycles, etc. So same for your saddle. It's not going to scratch your saddle. It, protects it as well on the underside. But yeah, cleaning, you can brush it out with like a little, I call it a poodle brush. It's a square brush that has little metal tines, and you can brush out the matted down areas a little bit. You want to be careful not to rip the wool, but just you can fluff it up a little if you need to. And of course, you can shake it out and get some of the dust off, because they do get dusty and hairy, of course, especially in the winter and spring when it's dusty. But like I say, you can wash them in the washing machine. Do dry them out of direct sunlight. And then oftentimes I'll tell people, just make sure, to make it nice and flat, and you can kind of pull it flat and put it back into its shape while it is drying. And that's about all you have to do. Okay.
And I see you also have stirrup leather covers and noseband covers.
Yes, and girth covers.
Okay.
Yep. So, and they all Velcro on, so they're easy to put on and off. And we offer, different sizes, 1.5 inch for the English stirrup leathers and wider. We even have a tapered stirrup leather cover, so you can do like 2.5 at the top and 4 to cover that Blevins buckle at the bottom if you don't want a whole cover. So you could do a stirrup leather cover and also a seat only. So, you have lots of different options there. And the girth covers, of course, come in different lengths, all the same colors. And we have cinch ring protectors too, and breast collar ring protectors. We have a whole page under For the Rider dedicated to the sheer comfort products. And you'll find it there under For the Rider, Sheer Comfort Sheepskin Seat Savers.
Okay. What is your website and your phone number?
We are thedistancedepot.com, and our phone number is toll-free 866-863-2349.
Terrific. Thank you. Well, our next guest this morning is Brenna Sullivan, and Brenna is an endurance rider. She does ride and tie, she crews, and she works on the Tevis production for the webcast. So welcome. Good morning, Brenna.
Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, so this is a very remote ride. There's a lot of logistics to it. The Tevis spans, for those that are listening that don't know, it spans 100 miles across the Sierra Nevada mountains from Roby Park in Truckee down to Auburn, California. Cellular service is pretty much spotty or non-existent. So tell us, how do you and your crew manage to broadcast all the live videos and updates and real-time webcast data from deep in the wilderness?
Well, that's a really good question, and kind of one of the constraining factors in our logistics. back in, I think the live feed started in 2016 when we finally got enough cell service to be able to go live from some of the locations like Highway 89. In recent years, we've actually been able to purchase a couple of Starlinks for the live feed specifically.
I was wondering if that's how you did it this year, because this year was
Yeah.
really good. I mean, by the way, it was
Yeah.
really good this year.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Good to hear. Yeah, so we had, I think, 2 Starlinks out on course. One of the mini Starlinks that went around with me, and a larger Starlink that was at Robinson Flat and Forest Hill and some of the bigger vet checks. So between those 2 Starlinks and existing cell coverage, we were able to pretty much go live everywhere we wanted to.
That was so cool. So give us an overview of like how many people are working on the webcast? How many hours are you guys awake? And how do you split up doing the whole entire ride for, it's like, I don't know, how many continuous hours is it?
Yeah, so we try to be up at Roby Park the day before. We want to capture the ride meeting and get some of the videos of the horses and riders in camp. And then we'll start the actual live stream from Highway 89 crossing. That's 6 miles into the ride at around 5:30 is when we start going live. And we'll basically have live feeds at various parts along the ride all the way up until buckle hour. The ride ends at 5:15 the following morning. And then we'll have a stream at the Hagen Cup judging and then the award ceremony. So it's a day and a half, 2 days of providing coverage.
Wow. and how many are there of you working on this webcast?
Oh boy, this year I think there were about 8 people, between the people that were actually out on the ground filming, people that were there helping them, and then we had 2 people, Jacqueline Frost and Andrea Maitland, kind of behind the scenes helping us go live through YouTube and kind of puppeteering how the live streams looked. So it's gotten to be quite a big group, which is good because it's a lot of tasks to get done. As you can imagine, the logistics of getting footage and uploading them onto a platform where people can easily go and find them it's complicated. And there's been some iterations throughout the years. And I think this year we landed on a pretty good solution.
Were you using phones this year, or did you use cameras?
We've always used just cell phones.
Well, and that does make it easier for the upload too, actually.
It does, yeah. We used to use Facebook Live, but we couldn't do more than one live stream at a time. So this year we used YouTube Live, which was a bit of a change, but I think it ended up working out nice because people could just navigate to where they wanted to see next.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and we stopped actually doing Facebook Live too. Well, Facebook made it more difficult, so
yeah,
it was trouble. It's interesting with the phones because the nice part about that too is you can do quick edits on there if you need to, as far as uploading videos later.
Yes. Yeah. And it's also been nice with more people. I mean, back in the early days of the live stream, it was basically just Lucy Trumbull and Krista Turnage just doing as many locations as they could and staying up all night. And now we have enough people where we can kind of take shifts. So I kind of took an early shift, went to bed early, and then got up early for buckle hour and Hagen Cup. So it kind of helps with the sleep deprivation a little bit.
Well, how do you guys keep your energy levels going that's a marathon.
Honestly, the ride itself is so exciting, and you just kind of get swept up, and, there's comments happening on the live feeds as you're going, and people are asking really good questions, and people are excited to see their horses and riders come through. And so it's just, I find it endlessly fascinating. I love the ride. I love learning about the teams, and it just is so easy to talk about and get excited about. So you just kind of get swept up in the magic of Tevis.
I understand. So what inspires you to keep doing this year after year?
That's a really good question. I think it just gets in your blood. It's such a historic ride, and it takes so much effort for people to prepare their horses to get there. You just have to have the right alchemy of your horse being ready and you being ready and being in the right time in your life. And for many people, it's just a bucket list. It's a significant step for them. And there's just something about that that is so inspiring. You always see people every year that are inspiring. And of course, the people that come back year after year and horses that have completed a number of times. It's just, you see horsemanship at its highest level. And for me, that's just always very exciting and inspiring to see. It's hard not to keep coming back year after year.
So what were some of your favorite stories from this year?
Oh, there's a lot. I mean, I think, Tierney Bellabert getting the Hagen Cup. I think it's the first junior that's won a Hagen Cup. I could be wrong on that, but that was really exciting to see
Yeah,
their
I think
ride.
Barack
Yeah,
Blakely, he
you're right.
was a junior. Yeah, so
You're right.
yeah. So, but
Yeah.
still, that's still a monumental thing. And how awesome was that?
It was amazing. And, the exciting thing about doing the live streams is you get to see the horses and riders throughout the day. You get to see, how they're managing their horses and the speed they're going and where they are relative to the field. And you just really get a sense of who's, riding a smart ride and not. And they just, I was really impressed with that team's horsemanship, the whole ride. I personally always like people that show up on other breeds like Mustangs and gaited horses. It's fun to follow them throughout the day. AP Davis and their quarter horse Jeep, that was a fun story. There were a lot of people that were watching and supporting them. And that was, they got pulled at Chicken Hawk, but their horse looked great the whole day. So that was a really fun story to follow. I think one of my favorite stories from Tevis this year was from Sonoma Blakely. She got second place. She crossed the finish line just wearing a sports bra, and I thought, oh, it's hot out, maybe she's just was warm. And I guess her horse was having some boot problems in the last, from Laura Quarry up to Roby Point. And so at one point she got off and like duct taped her shirt around the foot. And I thought that was a pretty fun story of just getting it done, making it happen.
Well, yeah, I saw she first started using her socks.
Yeah.
Because the horse lost a shoe and then it lost a boot, and then she used her socks and they didn't stay on, so she went to using her shirt.
Yeah. Just creative. I love it.
I know. It's lots of fun stuff. So I see, are you going to keep doing this?
Yeah, right now it's been really just a rewarding experience. All the folks on the live feed crew, kind of they're just excellent to work with. They all love the ride and want to see the continued success of the ride. The live stream, I think for a lot of folks becomes their introduction to Tevis. And I think for a lot of people, me included, Tevis was kind of the entry point into the sport of endurance riding. You kind of see this ride and you want to do it someday. And that's how you get into endurance, with Tevis as the ultimate goal. So it's really rewarding to kind of be a part of that process and hopefully exposing more people to what this ride is, what it looks like, what's involved. And, I think it's a privilege to be able to, speak about it kind of with that goal ultimately in mind, to inspire someone maybe to try it on their own someday.
Okay, so what was one of the most unexpected things that happened this year?
That's a really good question. I mean, this is a very self-centered story, but my husband and I went out to Chicken Hawk, and there was a lot of predicted heat that day. And so I was kind of worried we were going to be at Chicken Hawk and it was going to be really hot. And, when you're filming the live feeds, you want to pick a location where, the horses are moving nicely. And, as there's certain parts at at Tevis where it's really hard and the horses kind of get a little flat. And so I was a little worried that Chicken Hawk just wasn't going to be a good location to film. And it ended up being so nice up there. There's a good breeze. The temperature was in the high 80s. We got a really good shot of horses trotting down the trail. And, it just ended up being such a lovely location to film from. We had never done that particular spot before. So I don't know, that was a nice little surprise for me.
Mm-hmm. So if somebody's listening and they wanted to volunteer either for the webcast or just to help out at Tevis, what advice would you give them?
So if they go to www.teviscup.org, and there's going to be a place to navigate if you're interested in volunteering for the ride. They're always looking for volunteers, and there'll be a place for you. If you have experience, depending on your experience, you could be a scribe for a vet. You could be a volunteer at one of the locations where the riders don't have crew, and you could, help them cool their horses and give them snacks. If someone is interested in crewing for the ride, I know, even putting it out on the AERC Facebook group, I know a lot of folks have been connected with riders through that. I'd also say if someone is interested in coming up to view the Tevis Cup, if they come to the Forest Hill Vet Check on the day of the ride, you just show up in the afternoon. That, in my opinion, is one of the most exciting places to be. And then you can go down to Auburn and see them finish in the stadium. And just even spectating is a really fun way to participate in Tevis and get your feet wet and see what it's all about if you don't want to commit to volunteering in the first year.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it. And congratulations on a successful webcast. And thank you so much for doing that.
Thanks for having me on, and thanks for getting information on the live feed out. It was a pleasure.
So, Karen, do you have any rides planned, or is it just too hot at this point you'll be waiting a while?
Yeah, right now I really don't, but I do have another one coming up towards the end of the month.
Are you going to do it, or are you going to play it by ear?
I think so. Things are always questionable this time of year with the fire season, which, we didn't have what we now call, quote, unquote, the fire season, because it can literally shut everything down. Like, for example, if the ride that I'm planning on were to have been this next weekend or last weekend, I couldn't have got there because of these fires closing down the roads. So, and then of course we're going to have to contend with the fire smoke, which a lot of people in the Northwest have been dealing with for weeks already. And it's just not safe to go out and work your horse or yourself in that kind of
getting it now, or is it
air quality. The air quality isn't great, but it's still much better than we've had in previous years. So we've been really lucky there. But, with all these fires ongoing, there is a chance it's going to get worse.
Well, let's hope the rain helps and doesn't hurt, right? It's got to help the fires anyway. So let's hope that helps at least, help the firemen get them under control. How is there any firemen left in the world that aren't in the Northwest right now?
I know.
That's crazy. Well, there are lots of rides all over the country. You can check them out. You go to the AERC online ride calendar for rides in your area at aerconline.org. Where do people find you?
Just my name, KarenChatton.com or NV Rider.
Very good. And of course, if you want to just find this show on your podcast player, separate from Horses in the Morning, you can do that and just find just the endurance episodes. Just search for Endurance Rider on your podcast player and it'll pop up, and you can go back and listen to all the past episodes that you want. Jamie's on vacation. Ashley and I will be here tomorrow morning, so we have a couple of terrific guests lined up for you. And then I'll be back on Friday to give you a report from the World Equestrian Games. We have somebody coming to us from there, so we'll give you a report on that as well on Friday. Thank you, Karen, for doing this today. Really appreciate it, and be safe out there.